happening within the scope of town council. So if everybody would like to behave really well, because we don't want to end up on YouTube, from there on we will start this meeting. Have you got, hang on, let me find the, where am I? I'll now try and find the agenda. Well done, you have got the agenda up. So we'll start off with 8 to 9:20, declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interests. Ready to put on you. Are you all right, Mike?
Hello, sorry. Yeah, I've just answered the phone to someone who's going to disconnect my internet unless I tell them all my secrets. So yeah,
just the fact that you were there and I could see your head and you suddenly went whoosh. I thought, hello, what's he doing?
Sorry, I realised Corinne's got a little frame that if I put my iPad in it stands up on its own. As it is, I have to hold it myself, and I end up inevitably turning it off by mistake, which may be good for everybody else, but it's a bit of a pain for me.
All right, as long as you're okay.
I'm basically here and ready to go.
Lovely. So, disclosable pecuniary interests. I don't think we have any. Apologise for absence. Do we have any, Tina?
No, none received, Mr. Chair.
All the members have had the minutes circulated. Can I take it that that is a fair copy of what happened? And are you prepared to ratify the minutes, please?
Ratify, Mr. Chairman.
Confirm the minutes.
Confirm the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Anybody, any queries or anything on there that we should have saw? No? Okay. We will now move on to 8:32:20, which is a review of the budgets. You have had this sent out by our officer, and it's now up on the screen. Is there any questions? No. Alan, is there anything you would like to point out that we should see or should take notice of?
Thank you, Chair. The only thing is at the end of next month, at the next month's meeting, we may need to reserve any unspent amounts because invoices haven't come in, etc. So maybe if I could just ask through you if councillors could give that some consideration and we can look at reserving once the year-end numbers are out. And that's it. Yeah,
it's nice to be ahead of the game, so we know what we're actually doing. Just on that, have we had anything from the solicitors, or are they still going to be into next year?
We have had one invoice that's come in. It wasn't as much as I expected, but I will follow up with them and just see if we can get those costs in this year, because it's better to have them in than to have to accrue them for next year.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Sorry, could I just say about the reserves? Alan and I have been talking about it, and there's two areas that initially came to mind. One of that being the office equipment, just in case we do go to hybrid meetings and we may have to invest in some new technology to make that happen. And secondly, we might want to go put some money into staffing so that, you know, if we get going fairly quickly, we'll be able to recruit our vacant posts a little quicker.
Okay. Everybody happy with that idea?
I mean, that will come forward next month for people to discuss, but that was just our initial, you know, when we're thinking of initial thoughts to bring in. Councillor Cannam's got a hand up.
Yeah, Brenda.
Yeah, but basically it's about the fuel costs, because, you know, everywhere they're saying that they're going to put a big rise on them all. Are we calculating that for the future? I know we've had a low year because basically we haven't used a lot, but going forward, you know, electric companies, gas companies are all going to put it all up. So are we looking into that?
Chair, if you'd like me to respond.
Yes,
Luckily,
please.
in September, we entered into new contracts for 3 years. And based on the public buying organization that we used, I think we did sign our contracts probably at the bottom of the market rather than the top. So I think we're not going to see significant increases in our costs for the next 3 years.
Did we do that for Staniford as well?
We did.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Well done.
I was going to say, Brenda, don't forget which hat we've got on. But I wasn't going to say that at all, really. I was going to say that
King's facilities within that. What's it? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's. I must admit, that was going to be my answer. I was going to say that I'm sure Alan had done. So it's nice to know that is all happened and that we are on long-term contracts, because it's something that makes a big difference, doesn't it? Okay, so anything else on our budget? No.
Okay, I'll move forward.
In that case, we can go on.
So, training and staff update. As previously alluded to, we still have 2 vacancies. One is for an amenities officer and one is for a janitor, which the council agreed not to recruit for as part of the revised budget until levels of generated income made this feasible. So currently the tasks have been redistributed on a temporary basis, but job roles will all be reviewed when recruitment becomes an option. We've had several conversations in that the council has evolved quite a lot in the last year. And, you know, we're probably never going to return to exactly how life was before. And we'll take that into consideration, particularly with the amenities officer, because we know that there's a desire for a town warden as well. So when we get the opportunity to look at those roles, we will revise the roles holistically, not just in isolation. So the National Heritage Lottery Fund funded a post for a part-time heritage officer, which will be advertised in the coming weeks, with a start date hopefully of mid-April, but that will depend entirely upon, I guess, how much contract or notice the person who we choose comes in. So the post is for the life of the project, which is 2 years, but that's kind of a movable feast at the moment because of COVID. So when it comes to the towards the end of the project, we'd be able to review that post and decide if we think it is of benefit to the council to keep that post. And if we do, then the post will continue and be funded by the council. And if we decide that that's not what's required, then the post will just disappear. So this job will be advertised across all our media and on our appropriate job sites for people who do heritage roles. Does anybody have anything they want to say about that?
So that sounds absolutely super, because it's not us, it's the heritage money that's paying for it. And you never know, we might find somebody who is extremely useful, and it's always nice, especially that we're going to be doing a re-look at all our positions. Where possible, it's always nice to take on somebody that you know, if that's a possibility. So I love the fact that we're going to have somebody not paid for by us for 2 years, and of course we will know what they are and everything else, and just keep an eye as we do our changing of positions, I think.
Yeah.
Anybody
Okay.
else got anything to say? No.
So there will be another vacancy coming up for a VEM team member from the 30th of July, when a current member of staff is leaving to attend university. There is an intention to have a month's overlap with the new employee and the post role being reviewed prior to advertisement. So the person who's leaving has given us lots of notice because they wanted to finish the projects that they're already involved with, and to give us time to bring somebody else in and get them up to speed before they leave. So that, and again, we'll review that, because We've taken on a lot of new things over the last 12 years and we're working very differently. So that's a role that we'll have to look at and see. It's our opportunity to bring the job description up to something that suits our needs. And we'll do the same with that role. We'll probably advertise that in May to recruit for the beginning of or the middle of June, beginning of July.
No, that's super, and it's really nice for us as an organisation that when somebody is going on to for self-advancement, especially into university and things like that, hopefully their time here has taught them how to be independent and be really appreciative of what they're going to get at university, and we might have given them some skills to help them attain something really worth having. So if you could pass on our congratulations and best wishes for the future, I would be grateful.
I will do, Mr. Chair. So one of the SMT's jobs this week is we're meeting with IT support companies because our contract finishes this year, current contract finishes this year. And so we are talking to several companies about, what's new in the technological world and about equipment and things. So we can put our specification together and then we'll put that specification out at the end of the month. And we'll start inviting people in to tender for that post. And what we've asked for is for the people we're talking to this week, we're speaking to several companies this week about their advice on our current equipment and particularly like with our server, whether we still require the same sort of server moving forward and how they can move us forward as a council if we do go to hybrid meetings, looking at workflows and things like that will become digitalized for both us and the councillors.
So we're actually sort of starting that now, and we're hoping to talk to these companies about new specifications of stuff that is coming on. I mean, I like to keep up with this world, and I've heard that things are really going to start to change. Some chap called Bell, I believe, has got an instrument that you can talk into one end and somebody miles away can hear you, which is going to be really fantastic. And I understand that they're now printing these things called a stamp, and if you put it on an envelope, that'll get to anywhere in the country the next day. So technology is moving on, and we've really got to be ahead of it.
Well, exactly. And it's interesting because even in the last week, I think that Microsoft and Google are bringing out processes for virtual meetings, for agendas and minutes and things. So even now it's still moving apace. So we need to see what's available and what sort of support that people can offer us.
Yeah.
So
anything to say on the IT front? No.
Just a quick one, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I think we, whoever we go with, they've got to take into account the different levels of skills that, mainly staff are be generally up to date where councillors might not be. So it's taking that into account when they're talking to people. We're not all technologically minded, and sometimes some of the words that they use is not what we understand.
Yeah, I mean, totally. But the main part of this is the actual physical security of the system, about, securing our servers and our emails and, providing all the antivirus and anti-hacking and all that kind of wonderful stuff that we have to have now. So a big part of that is that, but we the customer support is also part of that, and that's something that we're going to look at quite closely, because obviously now the way that we're working, it's not just the staff that our IT support are having to support, it's actually all the councillors as well. So that's definitely something that we're going to look to upgrade so that it includes all of that.
Well, I can honestly say hopefully viruses will be a thing of the past. They've done this vaccination thing that they're giving to everybody in the country. So it might not be anything we have to worry about.
Yeah.
Dear,
Oh dear. Oh, are you sure?
Yeah. Somebody's cough, yeah.
Yeah. So also
You're being a bit witty this morning, Mr. Chairman.
I apologise, Councillor Canham. I will stop it forthwith.
So I've emailed out the chairs and I've asked them to produce their committee reports as part of the annual report so that we can publish this in April. And also officers have been asked to update their progress against this year's priorities so that this can be published alongside our priorities for 21-22. We're hoping all of this will be available for mayor making, well actually prior to mayor making, but we are still waiting for what's going to happen on virtual meetings, because it's unclear at the moment how that's going to happen, because although they say that they will stop virtual meetings, they don't actually allow us to have physical meetings because of the numbers involved. So we're waiting to see how that works out, and apparently advice is going to be on its way to us before that date.
I was going to ask that question because normally we are stuck with these dates that it must happen within X weeks of the new mayoral year and all of this sort of thing. I wonder if there's going to be any slight delay on that, because you know, we're going to be pushing up against the time when there will possibly be no restrictions, and that would be nice if we could have proper meetings again.
Yeah, well, we're in talks with the incoming mayor, and we are currently looking at planning the event and having it to a point that we can take it off the shelf and deliver it as and when we are able to do so. Good,
because it's you know, it is really the finest time for anybody that's taken that position. So we want to really try and make it as good as it can possibly be under the restraints that that government and law will be sticking on us. But let's hope that we can be flexible and make it some time to remember.
Okay.
Anybody else anything to say on the training and staff updates?
Now, I've just got a couple of slides here to show you, because when we put the project in, we put in the job description, what we expected them to be doing with us. So, you know, the heritage officer would come under the venues, events and marketing officer, and they would assist with the coordination and delivery of the Thetford Town Council events programmes. The main task, as you can see there, is mainly to assist in the promotion of the town's heritage, to deliver some volunteers to facilitate the delivery of events and heritage activities, to engage with professional and voluntary artists and performances, to build community, and to promote the story of the Guildhall. So what we'd also like is a team of heritage ambassadors. So people who that are happy to talk to people. So perhaps when the schools come in or we get coach loads of visitors, that we have people available on those days to actually interact with the public. Oh, let me just go back. So they're going to have to deliver 4 town events a year and deliver 6 Market Square events a year. Performances in the Guildhall, implement a volunteer training plan, oral histories, tour guides, doing some archiving as well. Yeah, we're just going. It really is going to be completely immersed in developing our heritage for us. And I think I haven't got David around. I think there's 8 specialist markets that we have to deliver as well. I can't remember off the top of my head.
It sounds as if it's really going to be an exciting time. I'm not sure that I agree with replacing the Tricon hat with a Sikh headdress, but I'm sure the new mayor will be quite enthralled as to what they're going to do to him.
Yes, we have actually, as another part of the Guildhall, we have a working group with the Sikhs about how to develop that part of the Guildhall project.
Lovely.
So I don't know, does anybody have any questions for me on that?
No hands up anywhere that I can see.
Okay. Oh, Councillor Cannon's got a hand up.
Yep. Councillor Cannon.
It would be nice if we can get somebody.
I'm sorry, Brenda, we can't hear you.
Oh, I don't know why.
All right, okay, you're back.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we get someone from the Sikh community to work with that heritage person as a volunteer. I know there was a couple in Thetford a few years ago when Roy had his big dancing. It'd be nice if we could get some of them. So it's something to look.
We do actually have some Sikhs who are working with us who are going to help our heritage officer develop that aspect of the project. Yeah, so that's good news.
Lovely, thank you.
Super. As I say, it looks as if it's going to be a really exciting couple of years, and it's going to be very important that we get behind everything and talk the town up, because people have had the thick end of 18 months where it's not been very good. So let's make sure that the local people of Thetford start to say how great it is that we're moving forward, and that lots of visitors come and see what we do actually have to offer.
Lovely. Okay, so just moving on to the training, there hasn't been any additions since last month, I don't think. The latest ones being that I'm doing some freedom of information training, and the Kerry is going to be doing the NACO civic training that's coming up. So that's very good. We haven't, I think that's the first time that we've been able to actually put Kerry on that, so that's good.
Oh, lovely, because that's, as I say, that when you get the different training and from the different places, and to have somebody else with civic knowledge is going to be really good. So that'll be well worth following.
And if the feedback is that it's really valuable, then obviously we will look at sending our other 2 civic team members on it as well in the future.
Perhaps people on the civic committee might like to take that up.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else that we have? Any questions on that before we go any further, I suppose? No? Right. So if you'd like to carry on with 834.
Okay, last week I attended even the virtual SLCC conference, attending workshops on various subjects such as cemetery management, dealing with negative social media, freedom of information and GDPR abuse, and bid writing. So over the next few weeks, I'll be meeting with the relevant officers to give them all the updated information that I received, so that they can share that with their committees, and hopefully we can use a as a basis for us to review what we currently do and look to continuously improve.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Any questions from anybody? No hands? Well, normally we would go to 835 and exclude the press and public, but I don't believe we've got anything or any necessity to do that today.
No, I don't have any confidential updates for the councillors.
In that case, that appears to be everything on this agenda. Has anybody's got any questions?
Councillor Cannon's got a hand up.
Yeah, I've just got one item below the line, Mr. Mayor. If that's so, it's not an agenda item. It's just a chat.
Well,
Okay.
in that case, we won't go below the line. What I'll do is we'll call this meeting to an end and then stop